Yeah.
and it says we're live, but it always has a delay, and then it says we're live. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to Film Trooper Presents, another episode of Film Marketing Fridays. And today's session is how to get the word of mouth out for your film. That's a lot of words to get out of your mouth. When you look at the screen, it's like, that's a lot. I probably should do a better job in the graphic. But today, we have a returning guest, David Andrade. I can't.
You got it. Nailed it.
I did it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh my God. But this is his work at Theory Animation with the characters Ray and Clovis. And there is David right now. Yeah, switch back up. Hi, everyone. And yeah, and this is me. If you don't know who me is, my name is Scott McMahon. I'm a fellow film trooper over at filmtrooper.com, where we try to help filmmakers become entrepreneurs. So today's session, we're going to kind of go into to see where David is with their project. And David, for those of you who may have not seen the original session that we had many moons ago, can you give us a rundown about Theory Animation and Ray and Clovis?
I sure will. So who am I? What's this all craziness about? My name's David. I've worked in the film industry for about 10 years now, and video games, films, commercials, basically anything that moves. And I worked for an amazing studio that won an Oscar for The Life of Pi. And once it unfortunately went under, but I took that energy and I started a company. And today, 2 years later, we're Theory Animation. We produce television visual effects. We produce commercials. We produce. Ooh, did I lose you? Oh, there you go.
No. Sorry. Okay. This is me giving you, showing people this Ray and Clovis. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. No problem. So we produce commercials, music videos. We're looking into virtual reality, like so many else are, and Ray and Clovis. And Ray and Clovis is our work of love, our labor of love. Ray and Clovis is our animated series starring Ray the iguana, who is a big dreamer, but he's shackled down by bills and the everyday struggle of being an iguana in a human world. And Clovis, his roommate and best friend, and a cat, who is super high energy, super immature, and spends all of his time surfing the internet and calling Ray at work and bothering him. And it's kind of a fun, Bert and Ernie is a big inspiration, plane, trains, automobiles. It's a big throwback to the Odd Couple kind of relationship, only in this case, it's with an iguana and a cat. It's a YouTube series, so anyone can watch it right away. And it's a really fun series. It's very clean, kind of family friendly if you're looking for that sort of stuff. And it's inspired a lot by 80s and 90s cartoons too, and classical stuff. Like we love Bugs Bunny stuff. So there's a lot of that shines through our work.
Nice. So it's interesting. The how many episodes you guys have right now because of the cartoon?
We're at number 14, actually. We are at number 14, and number 14 comes out in 2 weeks, in fact. So,
and we have some good news, some great news, actually, I want to share with everybody here. You can let us know. You guys have been accepted into coming up. If anybody's in Los Angeles and near the Sony Pictures studio, the World of Animation Celebration International Short Film Animation Festival coming up October 24th through the 25th. You guys got accepted, right?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a really special thing. We're really excited about that. Basically, it's been a chance for us to get out into the world. You know, we rarely do film festivals, funny enough, being a film podcast and all. we rarely do them because YouTube and getting it out there as many people as possible. But this film festival is run by a couple of really good friends of ours, and it's on Sony's lot, which is how awesome is that. And they said, why don't you give it a shot? Why don't you send out Ray and Clovis? And I said, all right, let's do it. So our short premieres on the 25th. Yeah, on Sunday, the 25th. It's a great whole event. It's their premiere event, and a lot of really wonderful people are going to be there. So unfortunately, I can't make it, but a lot of our folks are going to be there, and I'm really excited for it. And yeah, it is next Sunday, at Culver City. And, you know, the coolest thing is you get to go visit Sony's backlot. So you don't get to do that every day, you know?
Very, very cool. Congratulations on all
Thank
of
you.
that. So I'll make sure to put all this stuff in the show notes so people can find it, you know, quickly find the links and so on.
Yeah.
One of the cool things you sent me when we were talking about today's session was you sent me this link to this infographic from referralcandy.com. And it got on the topic of how to get word of mouth out for your products, your business, whatever. And they essentially curated and studied over 40 plus successful examples to learn from. So the cool thing about that is I sliced up the infographic to fit into our slideshow, and we can kind of go over that. And then at the end, we see how does it apply to your world of theory, animation, and Ray and Clovis? And you have some stats you were going to share with us as well, or sort of the experiences that's happened since the last time we spoke. But we'll get right into it. Let's get into this infographic about the word of mouth. And with that said, I'm going to jump over the screen share here. Everybody can see this. Cool. So this is me slicing up their graphics. But essentially, they said, well, how do you get more word of mouth? And I love this little cartoon they put together. Well, you give people a reason to talk about your stuff, and you make it easier for that conversation to take place. And that's from Andy Servanvitz, author of Word of Mouth Marketing. I don't know if I pronounced his last name correctly. But continue with the infographic. They talked about there are 3 parts of getting more word of mouth. Number 1, make a wow product. Create something worth talking about. Number 2, seed the wow. Make sure it gets into the hands of people who talk. And number 3, just add grease. Make it easy as possible to share. Simple, 3 steps, done. But they go on, they have some other examples on their infographic. And so if you start with the wow, I mean, what goes into a wow product? When we deconstruct everything that's wowed people, we notice 2 things. This is, again, coming from Referral Candy. 1 is unexpected utility led by innovation, and 2, a meaningful story led by marketing. So their examples are, 1 is, well, how do you create an unexpected utility? It's a product that solves a specific problem better than anyone else. So their examples of a new product class in the unexpected utility are things like the iPhone, things like Dropbox, and Tesla's Model S, the electric car, and the Lily drone, which is a follow drone. So this concept here was that there had been other smartphone devices or mobile phone devices, but until the iPhone came out, that it literally changed everything that we know about the world of smartphones and a marketplace. Before, there was no app marketplace. So independent programmers, you know, had a marketplace to sell their wares. Dropbox. Before Dropbox, it was essentially a lot of like flash drives and portable drives, and they just made it easier and better than everyone else to utilize cloud storage. And then, you know, electric cars have been around for a long time, but the Tesla model created a much more elegant, sleek, just a better version of you know, the car. And then the Lily was essentially this new drone that you just throw it up in the air and it enhanced any selfie features you ever want. But the idea here is that these products had created an unexpected utility because they were so good in what they created. So that's something to look to. Not that everybody can create the iPhone, but at least you understand what would fit into this category. They also have extreme best in class. They had examples of the Coolest Cooler, which is a great crowdfunding marketing case study. The case study behind the Coolest Cooler was an inventor, came out on Kickstarter. He tried to raise, I think, like $100,000 for this cooler idea where he basically built in like bottle opener, stereo system, blender, all these other things, just, you know, hodgepodge into this cooler. He didn't get his initial crowdfunding campaign. He went back, retooled the invention just a little bit, but the marketing changed a little bit, And then he just was trying to raise $50,000. And then then the story is known that he raised $13 million.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
amazing. Under Armour, that story there was that the creator, the founder, was unsatisfied with the sweat resistance, the moisture wet resistant clothing, and created his own. And now Under Armour is just basically second to Nike. They surpassed Reebok. And so they became extreme best in class. And of course, there's Google. People had search engines before. There was Ask Jeeves. I think Netscape had one. But Google essentially curated the internet by creating the ultimate search engine. So they were the extreme best in class. Going down the line with their infographics, they say the next thing after you create a unexpected product, or let's go back here real quick, the unexpected utility, something that people didn't know they needed. So you created something unexpected. Then you need to tell a meaningful story, and this is the marketing part. And the quote here says, at the end of the day, brand helps customers answer the question, which one should I buy? And that's from Mark Barros, the Contour co-founder. Their examples here in the infographic is figure out what your story is. As Fake Grimlick put it, there are 3 questions you need to answer to develop a minimum viable personality. Number 1, how do you change your customer's life? Number 2, what do you stand for? And number 3, what do you hate? We're going to go back to these, David, but I'm going to rip through this. But I want to
take your time. It's good intro for everybody because there's so much to say about each one.
Yeah. So their examples are something like a company like the Goldie Blocks. Goldie Blocks essentially was a toy movement for girls that was countering the Barbie toy brands that are marketed to girls. And they wanted to create a new brand that had a way of improving the world by correcting the gender inequality in engineering. And they raised over $285,000 in their Kickstarter campaign, which they were only trying to get $150,000. So they had a social message tied to the development engineering of a new set of toy line. So there was an inherent story behind the reason they were making their product. And so that is the marketing angle, the important message that needed to get communicated, which is what created the word of mouth. Another example is Tom's shoes. Obviously, the unique way of doing business with Tom is that every shoe you buy, a percentage of it goes to those who are in need of shoes around the world, in Africa and in other third world countries. So they're mentioning here in this graphic that today Tom's shoes are worth $300 million, and they've given away over 45 million pairs of shoes to charity. And because of this, they developed an identity for their company, but they created a story, a meaningful story that people, when it came time to decide, like, am I going to buy this Payless, shoe from Payless Shoe Store? Or, you know what, I think I'm going to buy Tom's, and I know that the story and the meaning behind this company goes to a greater cause. So they had an inherent built-in story that they created that made it really easy for word of mouth to get out there. GoPro, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If anything of a company, basically it says here, GoPro sales have doubled every year since 2012, selling nearly 10 million cameras in 2014. If anybody doesn't know the GoPro story, the GoPro is essentially letting people, document this concept, this brand, this story of the thrilling adventure to be the hero in any extreme sport or anything. It could be even walking a dog. People are walking around with GoPros selfies, and just recording their life in the city they live at. They're making everyone the hero. And it's such an amazing story, and a device that delivers on that promise, and all the marketing material goes with it. So that's that story. The infographic then moves down to, well, how do you seed discovery? Like, how does somebody find you? And the quote from Seth Godin and the little bubble they created said, sell one, then find one person who trusts you and sell him a copy. Does he love it? Is he excited enough to tell 10 friends because it helps them, not because it helps you? If not, you must stop what you're doing and start over. I mean, Seth, if anybody's, reads his blogs and reads his books, there's a lot of interesting insights that he brings forth. But the concept here is like, you got to start with one. And if you can make somebody a loyal fan of what you create, loyal enough to share it with 10 other people, if they're not doing that, then you have to stop and start over until you get that sort of fervor with your products or, your content. The next graphic that they put in this infographic, they say, reach out to people one-to-one, meaning that this quote says that, Airbnb now seems like an unstoppable juggernaut. But early on, it was so fragile that about 30 days of going out and engaging in person with users made the difference between success and failure. So early on, in a company like Airbnb, they went out and reached out to real people as much as possible, one-to-one, and trying to, scale it one-to-one in the first 30 days. So it's really interesting because you basically still need to hustle. You still need to put the boots on the pavement, and make it work. I love this example. I just grabbed this one example I didn't grab everything from the infographic, but this one was a great story. This is the Coca-Cola example. In 1888, well over 100 years ago, when business mogul Asa Candler had just taken over Coca-Cola, it was a 5-cent soda fountain drink that sold about 9 glasses a day on average. But Candler gave away coupons for the free Coca-Cola to consumers. He then gave free barrels of Coca-Cola syrup to stores reluctant to stock the drink. So when customers with coupons flocked to the store's owners returned as paying customers. Today, obviously, Coca-Cola is estimated over, has served over 1.7 billion servings of Coke every day. We know the story of Coca-Cola. The product is just, sugar water. Yeah. Their marketing and the story they tell behind it and how they get people, associating a lifestyle or happiness or Christmas or a polar bear or wherever it might be to their product. That is the story and the branding that they have just dominated across the world. So, yeah, and that's a story that goes back 100 years ago. It's really interesting here. I really like this. You know what? If the store is not going to, give sell our stuff, we'll give it to them, and then we'll drive customers to the store so that they can have repeat customers.
You know what Joss Whedon did, kind of like to piggy off of this? I thought it was very unique. Joss Whedon, forgot the name of the movie that came out that he just released, but he sent thank you letters to people who bought it. So when they bought it off of Vimeo, he'd send them like a poster. His budget's a little bit better than most of ours, so he would send people like Apple TVs and stuff. And I was just like, that's amazing, because each and every one of them is sharing, oh my gosh, look what I just got from this. And I'm like, that's brilliant. One person, and suddenly 100 more people will find out, like, I want to buy the movie now because I want to see if I get something.
That's right. And then they have more examples on the infographic here. Like, so like the next section they get into is, then you want to target influencers. So not just any regular consumers. Then you want to target the influencers. And one of the samples they had was Tinder. So apparently the story of Tinder is, obviously they focused on hiring college campus reps to penetrate the student populace, to get as many students or college parties, and to utilize the app. Now 2 years later, the dating app has been acquired, has acquired 50 million users, and each of them logging into the app on an average 11 times a day. So they created something that works, obviously, but they went to a targeted audience. Their main focus using colleges and young people, and starting there first before expanded out to other demographics, other age groups, and so on. So it's really fascinating. So the other thing they talk about is, in order to get word of mouth out, is piggyback off other events. So Twitter, they used Twitter as an example back in 2007 when they were at South by Southwest. Twitter still wasn't as big as we know it to be, but apparently Twitter utilized their presence at an event like South by Southwest to tweet what was going on big plasma screen TVs all over the hall to other people in the event, which then they saw a huge growth, about like 20,000 to 60,000 tweets exploded. And obviously now there are 500 million daily tweets, that go on. So each company or each entity sort of needs like an event to like see it spike. And then once like a product or a company has like a spike, then they have to capitalize on that and keep the momentum going. And that's what happened with Twitter here, utilizing somebody else's event to show off what they have in order to get that I can't say it, the thrust. Yes, the thrust into relevance in terms of the numbers. So they say, well, if you can't piggyback on somebody's event, then you create your own event. And their example is like Red Bull. Now, it's interesting enough. We talked about Coca-Cola as just nothing more than a sugar water company. So now we can talk about Red Bull, another sugar water company with even more caffeine. But their thing is they created a whole event, especially the one where they had the stratosphere jump, where the astronaut, pilot, the daredevil, Felix Baumgartner, took the jump from outer space all the way back to Earth. I mean, I remember watching that, just riveted. And then you see all the Red Bull ads, but then Red Bull, sponsors these extreme athletes. They built a specific half pipe for Shaun White prior to his Olympic run, and they filmed it. It's like they obviously had money and so on to do that, but we're talking about, at the heart of it, it's just a sugar caffeinated drink. That's it. But they've created an event. They created identity behind all this stuff. So it's really amazing, but something to take away. Yes, we're talking about, it seems like they have enough money to do all that kind of stuff, but maybe there's something that all of us can learn from on a smaller scale. The infographic then goes into the next step of they've observed and analyzed and researched. They say in order to get the word of mouth out for any product is to join a community. So if you're not piggybacking off an event, if you're not creating an event, then join a community. And they use Etsy as an example, because apparently, I didn't know this, but Etsy, the founders, they were running some other type of web design shop, and they were working on getcrafty.com for one of their projects. But in the process of doing that, they had to sorry, I had to go back here. So they had to join another community at getcrafty.com and crafters.org to expand to a larger user base. Basically, there's a saying in marketing that says, that old proverb, if you want to be a leader, you find a parade and you jump in front of it. So the idea is, I don't start in the very back of the parade where you got to work your way up to the front.
Yeah.
If there's already a parade that you want to be part of, if Ray and Clovis could really benefit from the audience of the Muppets, or the audience of some Disney shows, or the audience of some Nickelodeon shows. The idea here is to jump in front of the parade. And the way you do that is you join the community that already exists, or you'll see later here with partnerships and referrals and joint ventures. But that's what Etsy did. Didn't know that. But now Etsy, even though they've leveraged some other communities in the craft space, has become, basically a $500 million company. So if you want to sell any kind of goods, t-shirts, art, so on online, Etsy is the service to do that.
Etsy.
So the infographic then says, okay, if you're not joining a community, then you got to start your own community. And I didn't know about this story. There's a Black Milk's Sharkies nylon leggings. So Black Milk sells nylon leggings, and they have a very loyal following on social media, and they call themselves Sharkies because that's the emoticon they use on Facebook. So Black Milk is now a multi-million-dollar business with a staff of over 150 people. But I guess this thing was like, well, screw it. We'll start our own bizarre community that's all revolved around, nylon leggings. think but it works if they can build. It's such a niche thing. They're able to build their own community around it. And I know that you guys have that with your Ray and Clovis, with Theory Animation. Like anytime you start a web page, a Facebook page, and so on, you're trying to start a community in that respect. So we can go further down here, and they say in this infographic that you need to leverage scarcity, exclusivity, and FOMO or FOMO, which means fear of missing out. And the quote from, I'm going to get his name wrong, but I'll get this right. But he says, we value more those things that have recently become less available to us. So we value more those things that have recently become less available to us. And that comes from Dr. Robert Cialdini. I can't screw it.
You're trying.
It's an Italian name. There. Cialdini. I can't. Author of Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. It's a great book. A lot of people refer to it. It really gets down to the psychology of all of us as consumers, as customers, as an audience. And it's weird, but we all respond, even though we know it's happening to us, we still respond to when somebody is leveraging scarcity and exclusivity and the fear of missing out, that we have to act. And so they have this case studies, or in this infographic, with both Gmail and Facebook. When Gmail originally came out, it was exclusive, only invite only. I remember this. I remember only a few people I knew were invited to be part of the Gmail beta test, or the group that there's only a handful of people that had a Gmail account. And so I remember it took a while before all of us could have a Gmail account, but they were showing that it got to such a crazy demand that people were trying to offer an Gmail account on eBay for over $200.
Jeez.
So now we got Facebook, and they were saying that, Facebook started with the Ivy League, obviously Harvard, and you had to have an Ivy League email before it went, global. So they started small and they started exclusive. So there's something to be said about that scarcity mindset when it plays to the advantage of sales and marketing, not necessarily your overall philosophy, but there is a place for scarcity and the fear of missing out. Then this is so funny. I love this on the infographic. They're like, well, you need to publish quality content. So basically it really just comes down, you just got to make good stuff, and you got to, in whatever you're marketing and the stuff if your product, your film, whatever it might be, it just has to be quality stuff. And interesting enough, they use Blend Tech as an example, because these guys have this huge YouTube following where they just shred things up in their blender to show how powerful Blend Tech's blenders are. They're like, they chew up like iPhones and anything that's non-related to a mixer. But it generates so many interesting, words. Somebody sharing online, like, hey, check out, they blended, an Android phone, iPhone, and something else into this blender. People just want to see the carnage. They want to see the destruction. So it gets destroyed.
When you want to go buy a blender, though, that's the first thing that pops in your head. Yeah, why do we get that iPhone smashing one?
Yeah, because you're like, I know it's going to cut up fruit in no time, boom. And so that's the publishing quality content. Let's see here. Oops, there we go. Oh, so then after all this stuff, after you've identified and perhaps you created a very unexpected utility and you've done it so well that nobody knew that they needed it. If you have built a community, joined a community, all this type of stuff, then you need to add grease, meaning that, as Seth Godin says, how easy it is for an end user to spread this particular idea virus. Can I click one button or mention some magic phrase, or do I have to go through hoops and risk embarrassment to tell someone about it? Essentially, whatever we create, anything that we do online, in order to get the word out, the word of mouth out easier, by adding grease, meaning like, is the user experience so easy, so painless for anybody just to make a quick share button, or click it to buy it, click it to send to some of their friends, anything like that. Is the mechanics of that easy to use for the user? So the summary of their infographic is the most critical components of word of mouth are the wow product, the unexpected utility, not known. The idea, again, the unexpected utility is people didn't know they needed it. People didn't know they needed the iPhone. People didn't know they needed like Dropbox or whatnot. Plus a meaningful story. That's the marketing of it. Does it mean anything? Is it the Tom's shoes? Is it, the Goldie Box toy, line of toys? And then there's the seeded discovery. And the seeded discovery is, again, it's helping your audience find it easily, quickly, and be able to share it. All that stuff has to be in conjunction. It almost seems like all of it you can't have one without the other in order to make it successful. So if you get all these things right and you're reasonably well set up for word of mouth success, basically like, hey, I've done all I can to hit these 3 major points. So I should be in a better place for success in terms of word of mouth. But you can't leave all that to chance, obviously. So they have some other examples of how word of mouth virus to spread. And these are interesting examples. Here's when I didn't realize this with KFC, but apparently in Japan in the 1970s, KFC was pitched as a Christmas treat in Japan. So the people in Japan still eat KFC on Christmas to this day, because they tapped into a predetermined holiday schedule, and they just sort of like, became part of the lexicon to that culture. Just like Coca-Cola has with the polar bears and the ice when it comes around Christmas time. And you see, the modern day Santa Claus is really based off a Coca-Cola ad. The big red Santa Nicholas we see is essentially a Coca-Cola ad invention. They mentioned here Rebecca's Black Friday song, supposed to be like the worst music video ever. It still gets a lot of traffic during Friday because it's a song that hits at the end of the week that people could easily share with other friends as a joke. Like, hey, send this link to the Friday song just to, annoy your buddy or whatever, or a time to celebrate. So here, the idea of all this stuff is like, even if you set up all those other things prior, even if you set up your wow product and your seeded discovery, by not leaving it to chance, by purposely trying to tap into a lexicon, psychologically tapping into how these things may affect word of mouth, could lead you to success. So honestly, I actually took this advice, what Rebecca Black did with Friday, with her song Friday. The reason I called this show is called Film Marketing Fridays. Just
clever.
But it's but then I'm gonna be honest with you, I'll tell you something. I think it might be dumb, and I'll tell you later why I screwed up on something with that. But I want to get into their last part of their infographic, which is the one favorite tactic of everything else that they had discovered, researched, and analyzed from Referral Candy is the referral programs. Now, there's a trick here, because this information is coming from a site called Referral Candy. And this information is coming from a blog that has their call to action is double your word of mouth with our free day email course. So this is their job. This is their world. They are telling you, they're giving you information. This infographic was designed to give you information of if you want to have more success of word of mouth, then you need a referral program. And you can utilize the services supplied by referralcandy.com. And that's what they've done here. So when they say that our favorite tactic of all is to use referral programs, they're setting it up so that you agree with them that you potentially might actually use their service. So here it is. They say referral programs. And the quote here is stated as saying, study after study has proven that referral marketing is one of the best forms of marketing when it comes time for sales and conversions. And that is Richard. These last names are killing me.
I know.
Lazaria. Terrible. A Better Lemonade Stand. So there it is. If you take only one thing away from this, you got to wow yourself. resolve to solve a meaningful problem so well that you can't help but tell everybody about it. And their last quote is from Walt Disney: whatever you do, do it well. Do it so well that when people see you do it, they will want to come back and see you do it again. And they will want to bring others and show them how well you do what you do, Walt Disney. All right.
Whew.
That's a lot. There's a lot. I will, again, provide links to Referral Candy so you can see the entire infographic yourself. This was just like an excerpt of it. But wow, that's a lot. Thank you for sharing that with us, by the way, that link.
Yeah. Take a moment there to kind of like just drink, just kind of settle in. So how here's a question for you. What's been the shift now? I mean, you do this a lot, like you're really into the marketing side. What do you say you took away from all of this, considering because you know a lot, so I'm curious, like what do you feel like you got from all of that?
Well, the interesting thing about the perspective is everything, business and marketing seems to be fairly simple.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's easy. Like, it's hard. Like, we're talking about the Rebecca Black song, Friday. The concept there, that made sense. The psychology of something trying to go viral. Somebody was trying to analyze. I remember reading a blog post about somebody analyzing, is there metrics or some science behind what goes viral, what doesn't go viral? With Rebecca Black's song, it was touted as like the worst song ever. And it was like making fun of this poor, high school girl and her, she paid money to make this song Friday where she couldn't sing and was auto-tuned like crazy, but it got viral and people made fun of it. And, but it was used as the perfect timing, because the end of the week, end of the work week, what's better than to share a song to celebrate the weekend than a fun, lighthearted song with a girl that can't sing that well,
Yeah.
So that made sense in terms of the viral spikes. So me, not really, I don't know. So I did Film Marketing Fridays.
Yeah.
It seemed to roll off the tongue, but then when I look at it, most people coming off of work are so, they're dead. They don't want to necessarily think. Like, I should probably change this to like Film Marketing Tuesdays, like earlier in the week, because then people are more in tune to trying to learn or wants this type of information. Film Marketing Fridays, I think sometimes, people are they want to check out. They want to go see a movie, or they want to, it's the weekend is starting. They want to drink a beer. So I have a dilemma there. Like, do I change the title? I might. I don't know. But it's interesting where it works for
Marketing Tuesdays.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Just trying. Really.
You got. You know what? It's funny that content is the same, but by shifting it to a certain day, a different day, and shifting the title can mean all the difference. That's what I find fascinating about marketing. Where, again, it's simple. The application of it is hard because you have to test it out. But the other takeaways from all this stuff is, in order to get that word of mouth, is this whole concept of sharing. But I really want to target in on kind of the stuff you guys are doing at Rain Clovis. I have up here, because I liked your page. So in Facebook, you can like a page. So I liked your page for Theory Animation. So, which allows me to see sometimes you guys do sponsored ads, Facebook ads. And so here's one ad that had come up right here, because you guys are getting ready. I saw it was interesting because you're offering T-shirts for Rain Clovis and Theory Animation, and you had like a copywriting headline or something like, "Hey, it's Friday, your paycheck. You think about buying a shirt." One of those things. One of those interesting. But here in this sample ad is like, express yourself with our classic T-shirt. Purchasing this shirt provides many benefits, including 2-point styles, a handy way to let people know exactly how you're feeling. And I can't see more because this is a graphic, but there's more things that you're selling. Theory Animation Employee Guide to Character Expression shirt, and then it's just clever, But I have to say, now you have to let me know how the metrics are going, because I don't know. I do, from some of the experts that I follow, when they talk about Facebook, it's like the thing is, like, you don't necessarily want to sell on Facebook. Because even though you might
Yeah.
have an ad, because it shows right there, it's like the shirt's like $24.95. The concept for Facebook ads or promoted things is to get them to either like your page or get them out of Facebook onto like a blog post, onto your website, where you then either they're opting in for your email address so that they can be part of your community. And then it's within your emails, in your email list is where you do your selling, and
Yeah.
not necessarily on social media. The reason being is they said that the psychology of a user on Facebook or Twitter, they're not necessarily in the mindset of buying something.
Yeah.
They are if they're on Amazon. Like right away, anybody going to Amazon, they're shopping. Like, but there's a huge search engine. And it might take them down like, other, customers bought this. And it might take them down a rabbit hole like, oh, I didn't know I need that. I need that.
Yeah.
There's a different mindset like that. Etsy is that way kind of too. They set themselves up as a marketplace. There's other places online of e-commerce. Social media is difficult in that respect if it's just a straight cold sale. Like you have to grease the wheels in order to get people to become fans of what you're offering, and then you make the sale. And that's sort of the tactic that.
Yeah.
But again, there are no rules. I think that's one thing to remember for anybody out there. Just because the experts mention this and that, things change all the time. So I might say this, and the experts might say this, but you say, but oddly enough, our metrics show that we actually make a lot of sales this way. So yeah,
maybe this is a good time to kind of dive into it then.
Yeah.
The first of all, that hasn't sold a single shirt. So there you go. You know that much. But the email newsletter did. So go figure.
Okay.
So that teaches you right away. So that's actually kind of free. That sponsored ad. Shopify, who runs our shop, blah blah blah, free ad to advertise on Facebook. It was $10, and we said, why not? So that's where that came from. So that's a free ad from Shopify, who is our shop provider. I mean, we pay them monthly, so it's not really free.
Right.
And Facebook has now the ability to buy on Facebook. They're trying to turn it into a platform for everything, all sorts of consumption.
Yes,
It's
right.
very indicated by the fact that they've introduced video, and now they're doing 360. But that's a bigger conversation. The end goal is no one's on Facebook to buy. They're on Facebook to kind of be bored and curious and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have met a handful of people for this cat short film that we're developing, and for celebrating Cat Day, National Cat Day, big internet holiday for cats. And we're partnering with a lot of really amazing people on it, and some of them have huge Facebook pages.
Mm-hmm.
Their organic reach is 0.03%, but rough math here, it's still 1,000, 2,000 people. And out of these people, they'll update once every 3 to 4 hours. They'll have 1 million plus on their page. I know my math is funny here, but they have 1.5 million or million people. They have a lot of people on their page. But what's interesting is that they make a living at it. So one of them in particular sells a lot of cat related products, and she'll do a post every 3 to 4 hours. And she has her own store, and she sells cat things, like places where they can sleep and things that they can eat, etc. And she makes a living at it. And she updates her Facebook 3 to 4 times a day with mostly random stuff, and then once a day is a new product that she has. And maybe it's not even a new product, just an old product, but such an arbitrage of follows and organic likes and everything, you've probably never seen it, so it's new to you. And I find that really interesting that occurs. And so Facebook is a place to buy something if you got that community in there.
Yeah. Here's interesting enough. There's the guys at the Internet Business Mastery, Jeremy Franzen and Jason Van Orden. They did a piece for Facebook in terms of, if we go back to the infographic, they talked about word of mouth. You either join a community or you start a community. And here's what I kind of know of Facebook marketing, or what's happened was a long time ago, not too long ago. It's so what, a couple of years
My
ago.
galaxy far, far away.
Exactly.
I remember this.
People would have businesses or fans or whatever would start a movie fan page or a business fan page or a business page on Facebook, and they were able to accumulate likes like crazy. Either buy it, from clickbait farms and other countries, or organically build it very quickly. A year and a half ago, I think Facebook changed their policy. Now, even if you've built 25,000 likes on your fan page for your movie, every time you post on that page, you are getting like 1% reach to everybody. That's like nobody, even though I liked your page, Theory Animation, I may not see your posts unless what Facebook has done, it says, unless you pay for it, unless you boost the post, unless you pay us some money, then we will get your post out to the people that said they liked your page.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, in order to use like advanced Facebook marketing with like lookalike audiences, so you would have to, your page would say accumulate like 25,000 likes. Then you can use a lookalike audience that then pay for an ad to go to a whole nother subset of people that like something similar to your page in order to get an even greater reach. But the difference is if you have a small, like you only need to say like, a couple hundred people on your Facebook page that like your page, then your reach when you do a lookalike audience is very small. You know what I mean? So they've developed a system, Facebook, where if you develop a system that essentially says, well, you need to pay to promote your post in order to get people to like your page. So you got to build up, you still have to build up your Facebook page likes in order to fully invest into expanding to a lookalike audience so that you can get greater reach. So they created this ecosystem where
it works really well. Yeah, the targeting tools are like unbelievable.
Yeah, and
I love it. However, you can spend a lot of money on it really fast.
yeah.
But the reality is unless people are coming over to hang out every day, and you're posting something rather relevant, it's really tough because like you said, no one's really there to buy anything. So it's really tough to kind of like make a sale through Facebook. So I wouldn't say that. I'd say the right answer is to just make it interesting. And then it becomes so interesting that when you release something new, you start to make it eventful. So one of the problems with all of this too is that, like, obviously the very first bullet point, it's like utility. It's all about utility. And what we make is useless.
Yeah.
It's not really useless, but it kind of is useless. Like if I had a little bit of money left, I'm not going to watch a movie. I'm going to go eat something, right?
Right. Utility.
So it's at the bottom of the spend, and then there's been charts and stuff of the average American spending, how much they do on entertainment and all that. So it really puts the onus on you to, like, it's hard enough to make something amazing. It's even harder to make something that a lot of people will care about and want to support and buy. And it really, really puts a lot of pressure. And that's good. That's good pressure. So I guess let me ask this then. What would you like me to kind of ramble off of? Kind of like what we've learned through all the marketing bits that we've tried, or
yeah, I want to wrap up something just to piggyback on that Facebook thing, because I was mentioning the guys at Internet Business Mastery.
Sorry, yeah.
No, sorry. But it's really kind of cool. There's a way that you can start a community and build a community. People are using Facebook groups as sort of the new Facebook page. So you can start like, animation for beginners or like, family entertainment, a specific group on Facebook. And then you can invite all these people that are attracted to the subject matter or the topic of what that group is about. So there you can actually have more organic reach to share everything about Theory Animation and Ray and Clovis.
Yeah.
Because you become the moderator of this group. And, I've got one that I haven't launched yet, but that's going to be on Facebook that's specific to film marketing for self-distribution. You know, so like people wouldn't go to like Film Trooper because like what the hell's Film Trooper? You know, only a few people know, but it's like, but people would be more specific to that topic of, oh, it's a very specific topic. So you know, Theory Animation can do the same thing, or Ray and Clovis. So that's an angle that could be done on Facebook. Now you were mentioning about the unexpected utility in terms of, you know, most of us making film product of any kind, we're not really creating anything of need because there's three basic needs for all humans. It's food, shelter, and clothing, which is why all those three industries will always do well. Like you mentioned, like if I have money, I got to eat something because that's a need. I need to eat.
Yeah.
I need to clothe myself. But, you know, I just don't want to wear a regular t-shirt. You know, I want to wear Ray and Clovis t-shirt or whatever it might be. You know, it's like there's, I have to pay rent. I have to have a house. There's those three. That's why real estate will always be around. You know, the industry, even though it had the crash and so on, the necessity of the real estate industry will always exist. It always has been. The food industry, the clothing industry, you know, those three things will always be a necessity. So yes, to kind of like hypothesize about your question about how can we as filmmakers create an unexpected utility. Well, my feeling is we don't, but we use our films to advertise something that is an unexpected utility. In the example of the infographic, you had the blender that shredded up iPhones and everything else. They made videos to show what it's capable of doing. Well, the thing is that we can find a product that has an unexpected utility, and maybe our films could be served as a advertisement to help sell those products, as long as we develop a proper affiliate program. Like so Ray and Clovis, maybe there's something that kids love. I don't know. Maybe like the Christmas gift this year. And maybe Ray and Clovis does, like, you decide creatively how you would like to create your own version of commercial, even though the company hasn't paid you. But if the company, or is there's a system in place that has a nice affiliate program where you make a 50% commission, your company could help promote that if the product is in alignment with what your message is, your story is, or what Ray and Clovis is all about. That's one way to look at it. It's not the end all be all. But in terms of trying to turn the problem on its head, like when you're asking, like, well, we're not creating unexpected utilities, so where do we fall into the paradigm of getting our word of mouth out for our product? That's one way. But anyway, you were going to mention some of the things that we talked about, like what has worked, what hasn't worked. It's been really great to see a movement towards, I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook and Twitter in terms of Ray and Clovis, more so than I've ever, have seen before. So it's been really interesting to see there's action, like you're doing what you need to do to get stuff out there. But now we can kind of assess, like, well, what's working, what doesn't work. And like right off the bat, we were kind of like using the example, like, do any of us try to sell something on social media, or do we use the ads to get them to another place before we make the sale? Those are types of the conversations that we could kind of explore. But
it's tough when you're making something, when we've played a lot with like education, and we actually got hired to do a course, which is pretty rad, a course and everything, and free YouTube tutorials or something. But it's when an organization hires you to actually make it, you put way more effort into it. So we got hired, can't say yet, but it's a pretty rad course on animation, and so that's why there hasn't been any new tutorials as of late. And then another big thing is the like creating a nexus for what you're about. That's something that we've kind of struggled with a little bit. Like, what does your brand really mean? And lately, it's been about the craftsmanship and the storyteller and celebrating storytellers. So that's something that we're slowly starting to push out. We're actually going to have a new series pretty soon, every month, where we talk about story and we talk about the craftsmanship of the stuff that we make. So I'm very excited about that. And that gives us a nexus. But it's tough, like, what if you just wanted to make a short series about getting high, and delivering weed to people. Like, you don't need a Facebook group for that. You know, like you just want to make a series about getting high and you know, and it becomes high maintenance, you know, and high maintenance becomes incredibly popular. And if, you know, you play your cards right, Vimeo buys you, and then eventually HBO buys you, you know. So that's the funny thing. Like, even with unexpected utility, we, as storytellers, that sometimes is like, yeah, but my utility is about people getting high, right? That's not really, you know. So I thought it was in that sense, like, maybe we flip it a little bit, and it's not so much unexpected utility as like unexpected story, in which an unexpected experience, and it's actually incredibly compelling to watch High Maintenance. If you've never seen it, it's actually really good. So as a filmmaker, like, that's something to think about, that like, wait, you know, my film is about breakups and romance. Do I need to make a Facebook group but no, you should concentrate on, I think, is celebrating like the very thing that you're talking about. So for us, right, celebrating the characters and becoming their hero has been a thing that we've been doing a lot lately. Become a hero for the characters, and we've seen really good success with that.
Yeah.
Where before it was kind of like, hey, you should support Ray and Clovis. Now it's kind of like you can become their hero and you can support them. And that language alone has added more patrons and encouraged more folks to buy shirts and everything. So that's been a positive, you know. And it's all just word change. That's it. Our rewards are more or less the same, but it's just interesting. To your point about being a source of information, obviously being animators and a pretty transparent studio with how things happen, we get a lot of people who ask us about animation, so we've written blog posts. And month after month, the #1 blog post is how to get a job in animation, where I'm pretty like honest, right, about the current state of things, that depending on what you exactly want to do, you probably 9 times out of 10 you're going to have to move, and this is why you're going to have to move, or you should explore video games or whatever. And just to kind of point out that, and that post every month brings like 1,000 new people to the site, and from there we have a couple of things that we watch, like, do they sign up for the newsletter, do they watch a short, or do they become a or at the very least click to become a patron, like learn more about it. And to me, one of those 3 are top metrics. Do they watch a short, do they join the newsletter, or do they become a patron? Google Analytics doesn't give you weights, but you know, those are the top 3 for me. And it's interesting that, like, of all the things, that the blog post about how to get a job is like at the top for driving people to watching a short or the newsletter. And then right after that, for becoming a patron, it's actually a lot of YouTube. Now that was kind of weird, right? So I spent money on a lot of different ads for a lot of different things, and I would think with Facebook's amazing targeting tools, you know, okay, I can target people who already like Patron. Maybe they'll like us, and maybe they'll check us out.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny though is that wasn't the case. Even though I could, like, this person likes Patreon, this person likes Kickstarter, they probably will like supporting other patrons in Kickstarter. So I'm going to send them a Rain Clovis short and encourage them to watch more. You'd be surprised, like, not really. However, when I did that same thing with YouTube advertising, I had way more people click through and learn more about us, even though, like, through a YouTube ad. And I thought that was really, really interesting, because, like, isn't it like the thing that's every time, oh, it's a YouTube ad, skip, you know, like you just, there's not even a conversation. You just skip it. It's like, whatever. But it was weird that dollar for dollar to person who is more likely to sign up, watch a short, or become a patron, YouTube was a higher value cost. I think customer acquisition cost or something like that, whatever that funny word is.
Right.
Yeah, it was YouTube. And that was weird to me. Now, what's interesting too is Google Plus is also up there. You can't pay for Google Plus. At least I don't think you can. I don't know how. So that was interesting. Reddit will drive a lot of traffic to your site, and they'll stay for about 14 seconds. But it'll drive a lot of traffic to your site. But that's interesting. Like we're pretty active on Reddit and on Imager, and they'll drive a good amount of traffic, but they'll go which is always fun. Twitter, I never understand Twitter. I mean, people come visit it. My analytics are telling me people come from Twitter, but you know, they spend a minute on the site. But what's funny is, I'll just read them off. Like Facebook, they'll spend. We had like some 4,000 people come from Facebook. They spent about 2 minutes on the website. However, I had 400 people come from YouTube, and they spent 5 minutes on the website. And some of them click through to become newsletter people or patrons. So what do you really want? Do you want the 4,000 people that came on that didn't do anything, that spent a minute or 2 minutes? Or do you want the 400 that clicked and signed up and became like joined? You know what I mean? So that's interesting to me. Twitter is just, I don't understand Twitter. It's number 2, but they only spent a minute on the website, but I don't get it. But yeah, YouTube and Google Plus are very interestingly, a lot of people will go there. And then as far as like the top pages, every month, you know, there we are. How to get a job as an animator is like number 1, followed by the latest short, followed by the patron page. So that's interesting that, like, you know, where our traffic is coming from, a lot of it's organic, you know, looking for a job in animation, and we're pretty honest about how it all works. And then social media, but social media doesn't really hang around too long, which is interesting. But they sometimes they will. It's weird. Sometimes they're really excited and then they'll go away. The other thing that I actually think that's kind of cool is email, but email's weird. Like, apparently only 70 people from our email actually came onto the website, right? But 2 of them bought a shirt. So, you know, okay, it's only 70 people, 2 of them bought a shirt. So maybe, yeah, like, that's weird, but none of the other ones all bought shirts. Yes, they became patrons, fair enough. But from email, they came and they bought a shirt. So I just find that interesting. Imager is really cool to drive a lot of traffic. And, you know, maybe for a moment we can even kind of talk about like spending your time and money and effort. I mean, the time is really money. If you spend 10 days doing one thing, or, you know, you spend 10 days doing another, that could be valuable. That could be money that you've made later. And we've spent a lot on a lot of different ads, and I like Facebook's targeting, and I love like how all these crazy analytics they give you. But no one's on Facebook to buy anything. No one's on Facebook to really discover stuff. Same point, we spent money on Reddit. We didn't read nothing. The Reddit ads were a joke, which is sad because I like Reddit, but, you know, no one really clicks on those. And, you know, maybe I should like take a moment to say that like ads probably freak out a lot of people because they're like, oh God, ads. But they work, whether you like it or not. They work. And yes, you know, the cold reality of conversion rates is there, right? You know, 1 to 3% if you're really good. For every 1,000, you might get 10, maybe 9, 30, maybe 5, maybe 30 if you're really, you know, like, you know, for every 1,000 you get and then out of that bucket, for every 1,000 of those people, maybe you'll get like 5 who actually buy something, right? So those cold realities of conversion rates are true regardless of who you are. And that's something to understand. So anyways, I believe ads work, especially if they're written really well. And not all ads have to be an unskippable 15-second ad. Honestly, sending a post to get shared, like your latest short or teaser, and sending that to IndieWire, you're marketing to them. And if they do share it, you know, they're effectively advertising for you. So that's an ad, you know, whether you believe it or not. And so anyways, ads. Facebook is easy to spend a lot of money on, but we haven't seen the results that we're really happy with. And that's just because psychologically why you're there. If you want people to like your page and visit, yes, Facebook's awesome for that. If you want people to buy something, no, Facebook is not good at that. Twitter, I couldn't actually, I was actually upset by Twitter because you can't, maybe I'm dumb and I'm wrong, so I probably am. But on Twitter, you could not target your own followers. Like, I tried to understand this, but you could target people who liked things like your followers and people who hashtagged or used keywords, but you couldn't actually tweet directly to your followers. Kind of like Facebook, you can sponsor posts directly to your likes. I mean, that's all we use Facebook ads at this point anyways. If there's something really major, we're going to boost a post because we want all 1,500 so people to see it. So I think it's actually 1,400, but we want all of them to see it. So that's for us, it's been like the number one. Remarketing on Facebook sometimes works. That is where if they visited your website, you can throw up a little, hey, come back and check out our page or something ad. So that's actually, I would say, if anything, those are the only two ads that Facebook's good at. And then in terms of like YouTube is weird. Everybody hates YouTube ads, yet that's where a lot of patrons and folks came from. So, it's interesting. That's it.
It's interesting. Well, it is. It's fascinating to hear you share all this stuff. I want to thank you. It's very eye-opening, but it's also from an outsider's perspective. This is how I would see it. Ray and Clovis, fit very well on YouTube. You have a YouTube presence. They're animated shorts, and you've already identified that your audience that responds to you most is how do you get a job in the animation business as an animator. So other people that are interested in animating are the people that are probably finding you online on YouTube. So when they see your clips, if they click and they find like the top post is how do you get a job in the animation business, that is the psyche of your audience. And the reason your ads may work better on YouTube is because I've seen this before too. Sometimes I want to learn how to play a song on the guitar. Yeah. So I'll click, somebody's giving a quick tutorial. An ad will pop up that is so on target because a very well put together ad comes up that says, I've always wanted to learn how to play guitar, but I've never had the time. And there's this whole thing about like how to do it. Like the ad fits perfectly to why I'm searching what I'm searching for on YouTube. So the same thing could hold true for you having better results on YouTube, because the psychology, again, we were talking about if somebody's on Amazon, their mindset is we're shopping and I'm searching and I'm shopping. When somebody's on YouTube and they're looking for the animation clips, if they are somebody who wants to be an animator or find work as an animator, they're already in that mindset. So when they see your work or advertisement for your work, they're most likely going to click, more likely, and then spend time on your site to go, oh, this is cool. Look at what they're building. I wonder how you get a job. Oh, there's a blog post. That makes sense. Facebook is so quick. Like I understand, like people are looking, like see your images and go, oh, that's cool. I'll click like. That's probably what you're getting in terms of your ad. One thing you could do for the Facebook audience in terms of, like case in point, like Twitter, is that world is fast. Like we're only seeing short amount of characters. Sometimes people put some pictures up, some video up, but man, there's so much data. You're just scrolling through the time. I don't know what they call it. The feed, and it's very hard pressed. If somebody clicks it to see a link, the headline's got to be really catchy or an image has got to be catchy, and they click on the link. They're hoping that the article is short. They're hoping to see top 10 things animators do while they're asleep or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like they want to see a quick bullet point list of something they can read, skim through quickly, because the mindset is like that on Twitter. You're used to going fast that way. You're not in the mindset on Twitter to finally go and read an in-depth article. And worse yet is me promoting the podcast. I realize that my platform primarily is a podcast. This show gets turned into a podcast, but primarily my audience is a podcast. So now for Twitter, I actually have to put in brackets to say podcast, and then I give try to do with my best the catchy headline. So that way somebody in Twitter is already accustomed to knowing like, oh, there's a video or there's a podcast. So they either know to skim through it or click through it. When they click through it, it's already been registered to them that this is what this is. Like if they click this link, it's not going to be a short, blog post. It's, and I think that's what happened in the past was that somebody saw like today's episode is called How to Use Word of Mouth to Get Out for Your Film, or how to, that kind of thing. I don't even know what the title of the show is. But anyway, you can see somebody clicking that on Twitter thinking that it's a quick blog post. But then when they see it's a full hangout show, they're gonna be, oh, I don't have time for this. They'll come in and out real quick. Like that's probably where you're seeing Twitter. So the way is to try to create the ads or the posts to be as native as possible. So if you're writing something on Twitter, you might do something where, the 3 basic, rules of animation. It's in Twitter. Boom, somebody sees it real quick. And if they like what they saw, and then there's a call to action to get more, to watch the video or to go to like your most popular blog post again, then that's how you can kind of have them stick around a little longer and hopefully sign up. Or have something so no-brainer, an ethical bribe on Twitter that says like, free, 3-part video series on how to get a job as an animator. Like, but they click it. There's only one thing to do is sign up for your email list. They'll get it. Same thing that happened on Facebook. Facebook is very quick, so when somebody's going through it and they click it and they have to go to like, that's the whole part of this infographic talking about greasing the wheels or make sure you grease it. The experience from somebody clicking your ad on Facebook, does it take them to the Theory Animation site? Does it take them to the Ray and Clovis site? If so, is it one click, or are they expecting once they click it, they should see it right away natively in Facebook? Some of the people that are making money on Facebook with Facebook marketing are essentially using Facebook ads to promote like a webinar or some great free 3-part video series giveaway. And so it's the money that they make in the back end. It's like you said, it's getting them on your email list and then making the sale on the email list that they're seeing the better conversions. So you still have the mechanics already in Facebook. So imagine if you just change the ad, like this one ad we were showing here. I'll just show it again. Imagine if, where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. So imagine this ad. It says Theory Animation, express yourself with a classic t-shirt. Imagine if this ad was like, how do you get a job as an animator? Ray and Clovis will tell you, click here. Now somebody's okay. They click it and there's one thing to do. It says sign up for this free 3-part video series, or it goes right to the video. And the video does a really quick, like, in character, like, hey, this is how you would get a job in the animation business. If you want to learn more, sign up or get this free giveaway. So like a video natively that's happening in Facebook, somebody's clicking through it like, oh, I want to know how to get a job. And these 2 characters are going to tell me. Cool. And then in the ad, the video has a call to action that says, we're Ray and Clovis with Theory Animation. Come click this free giveaway and at this link below, and we'll see you on site. So you actually may get more conversions to your website and to your email address, but you give them what you want, because if the data is showing you that your audience, from an outsider's perspective, they're not kids, they're young people or adults wanting to know how to become animators or how to get a job in the animation business. If you change your message, which is in the infographic here, it says, tell a meaningful story. And the 3 things they talk about is like, well, how do you change your customer's life? What do you stand for? And what do you hate? And the reason they say, what do you hate, is that what gets a lot of people sharing and commenting on, it's like political, it could be like political wedge issues. It's always like all the stuff you're not supposed to talk about on a party, religion and politics, right? Like anything that happens like that is gangbusters. And I've seen like IndieWire do this, where they throw a blog post up just to kind of stir the pot. It's like, is film dead? Or is it like, or, I don't know, anything like, here's 5 experts that say the reason why, digital cinema is not as good as film. And that, whatever it might be, these are topics that have gone on forever. And then in the comment section, you get people, yelling at each other. And the whole thing is somebody just presented an idea, and which is why in this infographic it says, what do you hate? Your brand may not necessarily get into that world of what you hate, but you might. Maybe the brand of Theory Animation might. Maybe it says, we hate working for a industry or a corporation that does this to their artists. Case in point, that documentary you worked on. You know, I mean, that is a line in the sand that you're drawing. Says this is what we hate, and this is what we stand. This is why we are standing in favor of something different, and this is what theory animation is about. Then you might get, if you angle some of your content and marketing messages towards that, then you can see a more word of mouth, a more passionate following. Because it both two things that go together there. If whatever you hate is also represents what you stand for, it's the yin yang. So, and then in that message that you have, how does it change your customer's life? Because maybe the information, like you said, your number one blog post is people wanting to know how you get a job, and you guys are like, I'm going to tell you how it is, realistically how it is. He goes, and if you want to change your life to work in the industry that exists, then this is what you have to do, or come join us on our side of things, or whatever we stand for, or whatever we hate. You know, so something like that is the angle. So there's two things that I see is like theory animation represents those who want to become animators. You know, Ray and Clovis could have a total different marketing campaign if you choose to go down that rabbit hole of like, do we really want this to reach kids? So then it's like, okay, oh gosh, that's a whole nother thing. That's like, well, how do we compete against Disney? How do we compete against Nickelodeon and all that stuff? Well, you don't. So you know that going in. So you do Facebook ads towards moms of a certain age, the newborns or from like toddlers, and say, you know, hey moms, you know, busy day, goes something like, we're not Disney, we're not Nickelodeon, but we're right here on Facebook. Like you can choose YouTube or Facebook to be your new portal that you target moms and say, here's Ray and Clovis, and this is how they, like Bert and Ernie, like this is how they, some kind of problem that they solve or some kind of fun adventure that's quick. And as long as you target it towards your these moms or, you know, at home dads or something, and it says, and challenge that parent to say, you know, show it to your child or something like that. Maybe your child would like it, because maybe if the kid responds and whatever you create in that particular piece of video content, your cartoon, maybe do like a beta test with your own kids or other people in your team to see like, what do they respond to? Can you get can you get them to laugh like out loud? If you can share that piece of information to that target audience, to get them to, like, every video you have one goal is to get an outburst laugh from a group of children at a certain age, then you might win over the parent, because the parent sees them laugh at it, like, oh cool, I'll like it, I'll show them more. Okay, here's some more videos they have. Then I like that. So all this stuff is geared towards, honestly, they were talking about referral programs. The one thing they didn't mention here in terms of marketing of word of mouth, they kind of did when we talked about it in terms of the marketing proverb of, if you want to be a leader, you find the parade and jump in front of it. Last time we spoke, there was a company that you were looking towards modeling after. It was an app cartoon company. What would they call it? It was Moonbot. Yeah, Moonbot. And I don't know if did you ever chance to reach out to this guys?
I didn't. Yeah, just work kind of took over. No, I haven't had a chance to.
Well, that, again, it's like you guys have built up enough cachet in the body of work you have. I couldn't see why you couldn't reach out and just get online, because the information they probably share with you would be a lot more insightful in alignment with where you guys are going. But also this opportunity at this weekend, October 24th, the 25th, at the Sony Studio lot in Los Angeles, that's being huge. Part of the animation festival. Yeah, you have those connections where, again, from an outsider's perspective, I can't see why like a bigger entity could come to your group, your theory animation, and say, you know what, can you guys pick up a scene for this show we're doing for Nickelodeon? You know, I don't know if that's where you guys want to go, but that's, you know, you built up of enough cachet that you have a animation system in place, your own studio, that's what happens, right? In studios, like when you look at the visual effects, graphics, everything in all those movies behind you, there's like, what, 50 different graphic or design animation studio houses or whatever, you know, that exist, that work on 1 or 2 shots for the film. So that honestly is one way you can pitch yourselves that leaves you autonomy to live where you want to live, to have you guys control your system. If a shop comes to you, an effects house, and says, can you guys do 3 shots for us for this animation studio or whatever?
Right.
I was like, oh, sure, we can pick that up. And it's great. Because I remember working at Sony, I never met half the people, the companies we hired. They were in Singapore, Germany, South Korea, so it's like, you guys have this opportunity. It says, we exist. Here's our body of work. We have a studio in place. Let us pick up a few shots if you want us to. In turn, I don't know if that's the direction you want to go in, but these are from an outside perspective of what I look at when I look at your company, and kind of like where you're going with it. So,
no, it's all really good advice. That is happening, thankfully, and that's the value that we see in the shorts, is that is happening, and so it's good to continue to do that stuff. I think getting the messaging and the branding right is critical, and I think the number one thing that I've learned in terms of marketing is why is somebody on that platform, and what can we do about that? And, if they're on Instagram or they're on Vine, they're just scrolling around just to see stuff and to discover things. But if they're on, if they're on YouTube, they're actively looking for something to watch, and that's just been interesting. It's been a big learning experience for us. So yeah, I've learned quite a bit in that. I think if there's any advice to kind of impart from all of this that we've learned, it's that you should do something that is truly. I don't agree with Seth, by the way, but you should do something that is truly awesome, and then get rid of it and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And that consistency is how you grow. Obviously, Seth's point is to not stick to one thing over and over, and like we do a new short a month. So we throw everything away and we do it all over again. And that's really important. So that and the messaging, those are I think the biggest lessons that I can kind of impart from my side of the thing is the messaging, knowing where to put all your stuff. I hate to say it, I have to head out here in a minute, but
me too. So we're all good.
But this has been good. I think that I'm glad you really dove into that document, because make a wow. That's really it. Just TLDR, make a wow, and then tell other people about it. And I think that's my last point, is that we all forget that if I were to kind of measure all the time, money, effort spent, what's been the biggest return on investment? It's spending time telling other people about it. Because even though for every 100 of those, I'll only get one, that's one guy or one girl with a blog or a podcast. And that in itself has actually been the #1 biggest return on investment. YouTube would be second. Facebook would be a dismal third or fourth or something. Because email would be higher than it. But that's just something interesting. Just as important as it was for us to do all of these, we call them experiments, theory, get it? All of these experiments, the biggest thing that we've seen, this Cat Day short that's going to come out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for it. The short is funny. It looks amazing. We have an awesome lineup of sponsors and taste and people who just want to share it and just love it. And it's hooking into, National Cat Day, which is going to be massive on October 29th. So
you got a busy October with the film festival and the Cat Day,
and the following week is that. So I think what I'm trying to import to you, what I've learned is talking to people is way more important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I will challenge you with one thing. If you already have the mechanics of the Facebook ad system going, it'd be really interesting if you literally did a video with Ray and Clovis teaching animators how to get a job as an animator in the business.
Yeah.
And that is your ad. As long as you have a really effective call to action that gets them off Facebook and onto your email address after this great little video that you offer up, it'd be fascinating to see what your conversion rate is at that point.
Yeah.
Because in my perspective, I think somebody going through Facebook and seeing that, watching a very short video, maybe you only give them like, here are 3 steps to get, to get a job as an animator in the animation business with Ray and Clovis. They say, here's step number 1. They give step number 2. And if you want step number 2 or 3 or whatever it is, just sign below or whatever, or give them the whole thing. But it says, if you want to know more, click below. Yeah. Here's this free giveaway. That would be really interesting to see.
I would, yeah.
If Facebook suddenly becomes more relevant for you.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I have to head out, but dude, this is fun. Thank you.
It's good to see you, man. I'm really, really, really proud of everything you guys are doing. I'm really excited to see where you guys, where all this takes you, and I'm excited for the festival and the Cat Day and all that kind of stuff. So cool. We'll keep tabs. All right, David.
Okay. Have a good one, Scott.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Before you can leave, take off, I'm gonna do a little pay the bills here. So that was David, and if you guys stuck around this long, then you shouldn't go away empty-handed. Just head on over to freevodreports.com where you can get video-on-demand sales projections. When you sign up, you get a weekly video-on-demand and digital download report sent directly to your email inbox. It's analysis of video demand and digital download numbers. So check it out. It's part of the weekly film marketing analysis from Film Trooper over at freevodreports.com. And thanks for everybody checking in to Film Marketing Fridays. I will see you next time. Thanks so much.